Today I want to talk about a little bit of our respiratory system diseases, common ones. So, let's start. So we're gonna start. We have a lot less. First, I want to say we have a lot less than. Well, we have a lot less than the circulatory system. We only have. Let me see. This is one, two, three, four, five, six. Yeah, we only have six. It's cause so in circulatory system we had blood vessels, and we had the heart. But for a respiratory system, we really have the airways and lungs, and that's pretty much it. We don't have to deal with blood and all that. Okay, so let's go ahead and start with pneumonia. So pneumonia is basically an infection. So we're gonna write an infection which is caused by a bacteria, and this is basically you have your alveoli um filled with fluids, basically, essentially. But we don't want these fluids to be there. They're not supposed to be there. So the treatment for this is usually, antibiotics. I'm not gonna get into the details of which one, because even if I said it, you wouldn't know it. And then antivirals, and mainly rest and let your body heal on its own. Because that's what usually happens when we try to when we get some sort of bacteria, we usually let our body deal with it. That's pretty much it. Asthma. So asthma is, well, I guess, a chronic inflammation, and bronchospasm. So what causes asthma? Asthma is caused by, well, genetic. That is one of the biggest things, and environmental factors that trigger it. So this could be like allergies, pollutions, heavy exercising, which triggers some blockage and inflammation in the airways. And treatment is inhalers. Did I spell that correct? Yes, I did. Inhalers, specifically salbutamol or salbutamol. So these ones. And then to prevent them, I guess there's also inhalers. Preventers include inhalers as well. So that's that. Tuberculosis, another, well, bacterial type of thing. So it basically, bacteria goes into lungs. It causes granulomas, which is tubercles. It's some sort of, well, I guess, particles inside of the lungs that reduces your lung capacity. So this spread through droplets. So basically, when you cough, when you sneeze, this bacteria is gonna go ahead and spread, and other people is gonna get it. So also bacterial. I'm gonna write the bacteria here. So caused by mycobacterium tuberculosis, tuberculosis, whatever. So spread via droplets and particles when sneezing or coughing. And the treatment for this is basically antibiotics, which takes around, I would say, 6 to 9 months or even longer to heal. And let's go on to emphysema. So this is literally primarily caused by smoking. Primarily caused by smoking. So smoking is really a huge thing. So smoking, the enzymes from cigarettes. How do you spell cigarettes? Cigarettes. Will damage your alveolar walls. Alveolar walls. means loss of air capacity. So the treatment is, well, I mean, is there any real treatment to this? There it really isn't, except for, you know, I guess stop smoking, oxygen therapy, stuff like that. There's really not much we could do at this point. Like you're already damaged them, and it's really permanent, and it can't. You can't really do it if you're really serious about it, and you're taking a lot of alveoli. It's broken. You gotta do this. Bronchodilators. So these is just trying to expand your bronchioles and your bronchus so that now your air has a higher way to travel, I guess. So that is that. That is very serious because most of the time we don't do it. Lung cancer is caused by, well, carcinogens. So what does this include? Tobacco. First thing first, tobacco always cause these asbestos, which is also a type of carcinogen. So it's used, I believe. Uh, I believe asbestos is used in housing, in building materials, and especially in the old days, the walls they were made out of asbestos, and it caused a lot of cancer. And then the people were like, "Oh, this is not safe, so maybe I shouldn't do it." But there's a lot of people that caught cancer from this, and it was really horrible. So carcinogens, and then I also want to talk about radon, which is one of the stone. So you may learn radon as a gas, Rn number 80, symbol 86, atomic number 86. So well, it's one of a naturally occurring radioactive gas. It's invisible, tasteless, and it's you just cannot sense it. It will automatically it builds up in your house. So essentially, your house, it has cracks and openings at the basement usually. So the radon from the soil and the rock, they will enter from these cracks and essentially go into your house. So the radon is diluted outside. There's a lot of airspace outside, and because it's pretty heavy, it's gonna go up. So usually we don't breathe in much radon. However, when we build up indoor, it can get into a very very high level, and it's pretty dangerous. So, which causes uncontrolled cell growth inside in the bronchi, I guess, or lung tissue in general. So the cure, surgery. That is what we do to treat cancer. Surgery, chemotherapy, and immunotherapy. So these tumors, we can only really detect them early stage. Well, we can detect them late stage, but the only way to really actually be able to have a better chance of surviving against it is look at it early stage. But many times we don't even know this has happened, so it's very hard. Now, silicosis is the last disease that I want to talk about. So this is very specific. It's inhaled silica dust, just like its name suggests. So you might be wondering, hey, where does silica exist? Well, silica is, well, from Earth's crust and mantle. So it's very common. This will cause lung fibrosis and scarring. So the effects of this is you have a shortness of breath, can't breathe that way anymore, and then really there's nothing we can do too much about this because we usually don't notice it. Late stage, I guess oxygen therapy works sometimes, but preventing it, all you need to do is wear a mask. So that's why it was very important for us to wear a mask during COVID-19, is because all of these things, as long as they're bacterial and they could spread, or these dust where they come randomly, or these tobacco or asbestos that you inhale, essentially you're able to get rid of 99% of them if you wear a mask. However, unless you voluntarily put the cigarette, the tobacco into your, you inhale it, you smoke it. Otherwise, there's literally not much ways that it could get into your lungs. But again, I want to use this class to talk about why it's so serious to not smoke. So first, let's look at some data. So how many? Well, okay, like I will ask it differently. What's the percentage of teenagers? I guess that smokes in Canada. So around 10%, I guess. So this has very much very highly rose. So this number has been, well, I guess, has been climbing very fast. So we had a lot of smoking. We had around, okay, let's see. Okay, so among youth aged 15 to 19, almost 10% reported ever having smoking a whole cigarette. And significantly more males, so 12.5% than females, which was 7.8%. So we have 10% of youth that actually, well, I guess they smoke, which isn't so good. So let's talk about bad effects of smoking. So with all of these here, you can see that 1, 2, and I guess 3 is caused by smoking. So you should pretty much, I guess, understand that smoking it's not really good. First, we talk about alveoli breakdown. Whenever we smoke, the cilia is going to be damaged, so your airway is going to be damaged, and your mucus is going to build up a lot more because you already damaged it. So your body's like, oh, I can try to fix this. So essentially, you will get something called a smoker's cough, and then you have the alveoli breaking down. So the alveolar walls, they start to break down, and then you get emphysema. So chronic inflammation. So because you're always smoking these chemicals, your airway is going to thicken because these chemicals, they don't get out. I talked about this, well, I guess, last class. When you breathe out, the oxygen doesn't come out. But the oxygen does come out, but the chemicals that you smoke in, it doesn't. It just stays there. So your airway thickens, and then you're going to get chronic bronchitis. So basically, it's a productive cough because your airway has been so thick. And by the way, 80% and almost 95% of the cases of lung cancer today is linked to smoking. So overall, smoking is not good. And I also want to talk about nicotine being so addictive. So nicotine on the other side can actually cause a lot of circulatory damage as well. I forgot to say this. But you're smoking in actually carbon monoxide. And you're smoking in other chemicals. You're smoking in primarily nicotine, which is going to give you narrowed arteries. That's going to level up your blood pressure. That's going to give you a higher risk of heart attack and stroke and all of that. So guys, smoking might not be the good option. And I know there's a lot of kids. Back when I was at a public high school, I saw a lot of kids. They kept on going into the washroom. Hey man, it might be cool to hang out there, but not really good to put some chemicals in your lungs. And yeah, that's all I want to talk about for this class. That marks the end of our respiratory system. So I rethought about the gizmo, I guess. So I was not gonna give it anymore. So I feel like it was a little bit less interesting than I thought it would be. But yeah. So no more gizmo, and this is the last class. Next class, we're gonna move on to the digestive system.